Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I'm a twin soul channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the Aries full moon that occurred on October 20th, 2021 at 10:56 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. The full moon that occurred this week is a very special one, and I'm going to get into the energies of it in just a moment. I wanted to say a quick special thank you to everyone who participated in the Timing of Union workshop. Access to the workshop is now closed. For those of you who participated, you can find your review form in your inbox. If you have not yet watched the prerequisite videos, you will have access to the workshop upon watching those videos. This workshop may be available at a future date. I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do with it. And for those of you who missed the workshop, the November calendar is open if you want to have a look at what's going on in your chart, which with regards to union energy in the next year or so. And that's perfect for those who also want to review the material. Maybe the material went over your head, just book a twin reading. The workshop was launched, and as is everything I do, to the private list first. So if you found out about it late or enrollment closed before you even saw it was open, get on the private list. The link is below this video. You'll be the first to know about special events and workshops. Let's get into the Aries full moon energy. The big story here is a special T-square between Sun, Moon, and Pluto here. And what makes this so special is the specific relationship Moon is having to Aries here, and Sun has to Mars right next to it. This particular full moon brought out a lot of shadow energy. I'm sure a lot of you saw that and are seeing that. And the shadow energy that got brought out was specifically with regard to our relationships. We also have a conversation here. Both of them are having a conversation with Juno, Sun by sextile, and Moon by trine. Juno is our partnership asteroid, and it represents commitments and partnerships of all types. And there's, with this configuration, we also have, okay, there's Jupiter here as well. Sun is speaking to Jupiter by sextile. Sorry, by trine. Moon is speaking to Jupiter by trine. Sorry, Moon speaking by sextile, Sun by trine. There we go. Now I have that correct. This is a really intense kind of energy. Whenever we have the T-square energy, we end up with tension that can really only be relieved in one of the modes. So we have three modes: cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And our modes are the way we kind of respond to life's challenges and life's changes, with a cardinal T-square occupying cardinal sign Aries with the moon, cardinal sign Capricorn with Pluto, cardinal sign Libra with the sun. We are being asked to include the one cardinal sign that's pretty conspicuous in its omission, and that's Cancer. There are no placements in cardinal sign Cancer in order to relieve the tension that's building here at this full moon. And I have to say, it's been building. This isn't new. This is actually a theme that's been going on over the course of the summer, as each lunation has included, I would say, the last 4 to 6 in some way, have almost all of them included an aspect to Pluto. Pluto is the ruler of completions and endings, death, the transformation cycle, the alchemical cycle, the resurrection cycle. But in order to get the resurrection, there does indeed have to be an ending. There has to be a death first. We cannot move into what's next if we are clinging to what's now. And there has to be some matter of free will and choice about that. And nothing is highlighting it more than this full moon. Mars speaking to the sun brings a very motivated aspect to our relationship, sitting in the relationship sign of Libra. Moon sitting in Aries, conjunct Eris, is bringing up all the emotions we have around where we recognize we've just been getting the short end of the stick when it comes to our dating, mating, and relating. And Pluto is lighting both of them up, saying what has to change, what has to end, where are things not working, where are things out of balance. And the only way to access that truth and be able to make the necessary changes is if we move into the Cancerian energy of owning our emotions, being emotionally real and raw with ourselves, acknowledging our emotional truths, coming home to where our heart is. And so with this full moon, because there's an ending here for sure. The Plutonian energy is really blowing up the Aries Libra opposition energy in our relationships and saying, enough. I cannot, will not, should not be living in the way that I am living, operating in the way that I'm operating, yielding in the way that I am yielding, giving in the way that I am giving in pick a partnership, pick a relationship somewhere in your life. There's something here that this full moon, because full moons do portend closings, completions, culminations, and endings. There is something here in the way that a relationship is structured that is determined to end with this Aries full moon. It could be a behavioral pattern, a thought pattern. It could be a relationship itself or a way a relationship is structured where there's, little to no communication, or one person's needs are always on the back burner, or it could be structured based on mutual wounding, where one person has a save me wound and the other person has a rescue people wound for their own personal validation. Whatever the circumstance is in the world of your relationships that is no longer working, this Aries full moon would have brought it to a head. And because of the active nature of Mars and Pluto and Eris, they're all very active and reactive energies. There's a very good likelihood that you would have allowed this change. Let me put that a different way. You would have taken action on this change instead of just kind of going along to get along with the people in your world. This was meant to be a very active time filled with, taking steps to right the ship, so to speak, in the world of relationships. The aspects here of Jupiter and Juno, kind of really representing divine love and divine counterpartship, are very much influencing this as well as this energy begins to take hold, because there's a real kind of cognition at this full moon of what connection ought to be versus what it is in the third dimension. There's a real cognition and recognition of, what's love and what's not, what's attachment, what's addiction, what's, fulfillment versus, what's fantasy. This full moon is really disabusing all of us of some of our illusions in the relationships that we have. And it was chock full of likely still integrating difficult truths about others and ourselves and how we got to the place we are in our relationships. There's always two people on a dance floor. And when there's two people on a dance floor, it is up to both people to be in the kind of relating that we want to have. And where it's not working, this full moon is asking us to take some personal accountability to be responsible for our lives when it comes to the quality of interactions we are having with our loved ones and those around us. So, there's some other energies here. I'm going to pause, see if YouTube wants to show a little video. It may not, but if it does, if you would watch it, it certainly helps the content circulate and definitely helps me as a content creator continue to do what I do. Thanks so much. Okay, let's get into the other energies here with this particular lunation. We have a um, opposition between Mercury and Chiron. And this lets me know that in the midst of all this tension, there's likely been some insufficient communication. Chiron tends to cultivate or bring up where we feel like we're not enough. And specifically in our selfhood, this is sitting in the sign of Aries, the sign of the self. Libra over here is all about relationships. It's our partnership and balancing sign. However, Mercury has been retrograde, just went direct, but with Chiron opposing Mercury, the communication has likely come from places of very deep woundedness. It's likely come from places of significant not enoughness. And if there has been communication in the world of relationship, um, I hesitate to say it, but for people who are really struggling, especially with Venus having a conversation with Chiron and with Mercury, some of the shadow energies of Venus could be coming out as well. And the shadow energies of Venus are, a lot of manipulation. So, clinginess, kind of latching on, um, a place of a bit of like, I need you to do something different so that I can feel okay. I need you to be different, behave different, do a new thing for me. It's a lot of kind of blamey energy, if I'm being really honest. It's an energy of lack of accountability, or a better word. We're all accountable for the experiences we are having in our relationships, but this energy is really bringing forward a cognition and recognition about where we've been waiting for other people to be different so that we can feel okay. And this full moon with this deep tension energy is saying, you can't wait anymore for other people to change so that you can enjoy your life. You actually need to be the one to change because it is your life, not theirs. So, yeah, it's rich. It's a really rich full moon. With a lot of catalytic energy for transformation and change. And that's also true because there's so much activity sitting in cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are the signs of initiation and new beginnings. Fixed are the ones of stabilization, mutable for change, but cardinal is all about initiation. So, because there's so many planetary placements in a cardinal sign at this lunation, all of our energetic fields are getting imbued with this sense of, yo, make it happen. Do what you got to do. So, um, it's it's a gutsy, bold, activating energy. And what we're going to see from the people around us in the weeks post this full moon and from within ourselves is what we do and what they do when our energetic fingers are held to the fire. Do we run and hide? Do we lash out? Do we play hero and savior? Do we play victim? Do we go into the mode of freeze? Do we freeze and, kind of not move? Do we try to hold our breath and make it disappear, make ourselves disappear? What we're going to see is where we are at and where others are at in their consciousness when it comes to, uh, being kind of pushed up to the front of the line to bust a move. I don't know what people around you will do, but the energy is certainly saying, make something happen, do a new thing, end some things that aren't working for you so that you can begin some things that will work. All right, so there's that part of the energy. Another energy here that's kind of highlighting and echoing the challenges of this full moon. Here is the moon, and it is, let me just make sure I have this right. Yeah. It's in an unfortunate conversation with an energy I like less than Neptune. And those of you who know me know I really do not dig Neptune, but it's the energy of Pholus. And if you read into the mythology of Pholus, which isn't like super well documented, but if you can go into it, the energies of Pholus are the energies of kind of unintentional sacrifice, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, kind of being collateral damage to somebody else's issues. It's like you're standing there minding your business and somebody's arm goes flailing and you get knocked in the face and now you have a black eye. It's that kind of energy where pieces of you are, or your selfhood is compromised by another individual's struggle or problems. And so this is part of, I bring this up to say this about it. I normally, don't give too much, I try not to focus on the negative, but there are times in life where we are brought to clarity, we're brought to realization about what's not working through painful experiences so that we can find ourselves relocated in our power so that we can make the necessary changes. This is one of those moments in time where the experience of maybe standing too close to someone who is struggling or placing ourselves repeatedly in a circumstance with someone who is clingy and needy, or someone who is very selfish and only thinking about themselves. This kind of non-working dynamic is going to be excruciatingly loud at this full moon. And because of that, the way that it's loud, let me put it this way, the way that it's loud is going to likely be some kind of impact or blowback on your circumstance by somebody else just being too close to someone who just isn't sovereign. And recognizing in that, wow, now I'm not sovereign because I have been letting the circumstance that I've been in drag me down. And now what I must do is start to create some endings to this pattern of behavior, create some closings to this relationship. I know a lot of people have reached out and have mentioned, they're getting divorced at this lunation. I've heard that a few times from different people. I've heard some people say, they're moving out of a relationship that was a cohabitation. I've seen other people, end business partnerships, that kind of thing. So all of that is very much par for the course. But like I said, this Plutonian energy has been informing our lunations for multiple months now. The ending has been upon us for some time. We are now getting to a threshold point where it's the kind of thing where there's been a knock at the door. We've been tapped on the shoulder repeatedly. The 2x4 is coming out. Sometimes when we ignore our messages, then the universe has to shout. I'm kind of a kind of person who does not like the universe shouting. I would prefer not to get the 2x4. So as much as I can, I address changes as quickly as I see them, but even I, struggle with places where there is attachment. And this is a full moon that is asking us to examine our attachments. What are we attached to and why? What is that doing for us to be attached to that? How is that serving us? And how, specifically during this full moon, has that attachment compromised us because it's time to let it go? Okay. Um, there is, I like this one, Chariclo. Here we go. Speaking with that Pluto together, they make an energy of, what does die can get reborn. But even in, you know, resurrection stories, we find that the format of the rebirth isn't necessarily exactly what it was before. It is always something different if you look at resurrection mythology um, and religiosity kind of stuff. So there is a way to get something back from what you're letting go, but it is going to be in a very different format and one that is actually better for you. Um, if you look at the Chariclo story, what's interesting here is the Chariclo energy, because Chariclo is the divine intercessor. She speaks on the behalf of her beloved children to the gods to say, hey, please give them back what they lost, right? And so here's this lovely energy of Chariclos speaking to Pluto, ensuring that what we let go of, we are given back in a much better form for us, much healthier form for us. So that is a bit of the good news about this full moon. However, here's the trick. Chariclo is speaking up here to Makemake. Chariclo and Saturn are speaking to Makemake. Makemake is the shaman's asteroid representing the long journey we take in order to bring something back, something of use, something of wisdom to our tribe. And the two of them, or the three of them, are also speaking over here to the North Node, which represents the directional pull of the lessons of our lives. What we have here is a grand trine in air. Air represents the field of the mind and communication. Grand trines are ease. This Chariclo Saturn Pluto situation with Makemake and the North Node, we put this all together. What we get is a what we think we become self fulfilling prophecy energy. So there's a real necessity to be actively diligent about our thought process, what we are saying about ourselves, what we are saying about our relationships, because this full moon does represent a gateway point, which really does dictate what path we're headed down and what happens to us next. Can we change what other people are doing? No, but can we be accountable for our own experiences so that we're having the ones we prefer? Totally. Totally. This is 100% about accountability in the way our lives are getting created from the world of being accountable for our thoughts so that we can be accountable for our emotions through the world of choice and free will. We can't control other people's free will, but we can damn sure control our own. Okay. And this brings us to a final energy that I also really like here. And it's this Uranus opposing Vesta energy. Vesta is up here in Scorpio. She represents commitment and dedication. Uranus is over here in Taurus, representing new forms of life, quantum leaps forward in our third dimensional world and what we're doing with our bodies. That's Taurus. Vesta in Scorpio is really talking about what we're committed to bringing to completion, committed to bringing to closure. Uranus is bringing forward an energy of divine intervention, so to speak. So, if you've already been on the path of working through the challenges, this particular energy is going to bring forward a bit of like, okay, I see you. You're working on trying to end this. I will try to help from the divine field, from whomever God is for you, right? Jesus, Buddha, Allah, I don't know. Pick your pick your deity. But whatever the divine represents for you, the hand of divine intervention is on all of our circumstances. But at this particular full moon, Aries representing self projected motion, ambition, our capacity to do for ourselves. This energy is really talking about the divine will not do for us that which we are not willing to do for ourselves. So if we've been waiting to be saved from the mess we created or participated in, this is not going to happen. But if we are actively working on moving into a better place in our own lives, the hand of the divine is going to say, okay, yeah, I gotcha. I'll work on it with you now. And even more so now that Jupiter is direct, the bringer of opportunity and luck. Okay. So, yeah, it's a great time. It's a really beautiful energy for changing our own lives and not being a victim of circumstance, of being the captain of our own ships. And I love that energy for people. Final energy here, fullest in Chiron in conversation by square. Um, we have this energy of the creation goddess. Where is she at? My Homea, my sweet Homea. Here she goes. She's speaking with the sun and Mars. We've got this Homea energy here. She's having a conversation via sextile to Pholus. And she is, okay, yeah, there it is. What is this? Pholus square Chiron and Homea. Okay, got it. What I like about this energy is we are at a really significant choice point where we are being asked with the creation goddess Sun and Mars sitting together at this particular lunation with Pluto, squaring, making a T square between the sun and the moon, and Pholus being in the mix as well. Are we willing to keep falling on our sword for other people? Are we willing to keep sacrificing ourselves? Are we willing to keep thinking that the best choice for other people is our own self annihilation and our own self erasure? This full moon represents an opportunity to step into, instead of asking ourselves what we are willing to die for, asking ourselves, what are we willing to live for? What are we willing to change our bad habits for? What are we willing to grow for? And how can we ready ourselves to do what it takes? Okay, that's what I got. If you want to book a reading, find me over at kmoonastro.com. Link is below this video. If you heard something that resonates for you, please consider giving this video a like. And if you're new here, subscribe. I'm here at the full and the new moon with insights into our collective experiences as ascending souls. Thanks so much. Bye for now.